Kentucky, Rand Paul. Senator, it is great to have you. I do want to get to talk to Obamacare because I know you want to talk about it in your big day yesterday. But first, just since this is the topic we're on, you were supportive of the broad elements of the president's original travel ban. Does this DHS assessment change your view of how it should go?
You know, I think that we do need to have scrutiny of those who come to visit in our country. We need to know how long they stay and whether they go back home. 9/11, all of those people really had come to visit our country. Some of them were on student visas, but some of them were overstaying their visas. At least two of the hijackers were coming and going on a visa. So I think there does need to be more scrutiny of the program. In my hometown in Bowling Green, Kentucky, two refugees from Iraq had fingerprints on a bomb that had been exploded, a terrorist bomb in Iraq. We had it in a database, but we weren't doing sufficient screening, and we allowed them to come into our country as refugees. So I think we do need to do a better job. And it's hard. If someone comes tomorrow and they say, I'm coming from Aleppo, who do you call in Aleppo? Aleppo's in rubble. Who's going to have the paperwork to prove who they are? So it's very difficult to ascertain someone's identity if they're coming from a war zone.
So you're still generally supportive of, is what I hear from you. But let's move on. Let's talk about your big day and the Republican plan to replace Obamacare. What you were searching for. You're not only pushing your own replacement for Obamacare. You literally went on the hunt for the House Republican plan that's still being drafted. Just for our viewers, here's what you had to say yesterday.
This is being presented as if this were a national secret, as if this were a plot to invade another country, as if this were national security. That's wrong. This should be done openly in the public, and conservatives who have objections, who don't want Obamacare light, should be allowed to see the bill.
Senator, what makes you concerned that the fix is in on this, if you will?
Well, when we heard it was secret, we wanted to see it even more, because if something's secret, you do worry that people are hiding things. What we think is being hidden from conservatives is that there's a lot of Obamacare light in their bill. There's a new entitlement program that will increase at about 5% a year forever. There is also a Cadillac tax, or something similar to the Cadillac tax that was in Obamacare. And there's also an individual mandate, believe it or not. Instead of paying the mandate to the government, they're going to tell you have to pay the mandate by law to an insurance company. So a lot of conservatives will be upset to know that we're keeping those things from Obamacare, and there needs to be an open debate about it. So as we speak, my staff is still going around Washington looking for the bill.
Well, I mean, as everyone kind of understands it, the bill is being handled by the committees, and it's still being drafted on the House side. Have you been told for certain that you're not going to get a chance to analyze it, read it, debate it?
Here's what's troubling. The only paper copy I have of the bill has come from a news organization that leaked it. So someone leaked it to a news organization, but they won't let me see it. They say
that's not even the most updated. They say that's not the updated version of the bill. It's still being drafted.
That's what they say. But the thing is that it was the members of the committee said they were allowed to look at it but not take a copy of it. I'm not allowed to look at it or have a copy of it, and I think it is mostly written. I would say it's 99.9% written. They've sent it back and forth to CBO, but we're also being told by many people in Washington, take it or leave it. The House is going to send something over, and you either take it or leave it. But I can tell you right now, conservatives are inclined to leave it. We want a complete repeal bill, and the replacement bill should be separate, because we do have differences of opinion on the replacement. We're in agreement on repeal, but if you're going to keep federal programs and have new federal programs, conservatives don't want that. So that's going to need to be a separate replacement bill, not part of the repeal bill.
On your hunt for the plan yesterday, Republican Congressman Adam Kitzinger, he had something to say about it. Listen to this.
He's the master of theatrics, right? This is Rand Paul getting his name out there again, walking over with a bunch of cameras and trying to make a big scene. This is what he does.
He says it's a stunt. What do you say to Adam Kitzinger, Senator?
I think there are differences in our party. There are big government Republicans who want a big federal program. There are small government Republicans who want to leave
big government Republican? Those words don't go together very well.
Well, there are big government Republicans. If you do a new refundable tax credit, that's a new entitlement program. We can't pay for the current entitlement program, so it's not conservative to have a new entitlement program. It's also not conservative to have a new tax on health insurance. That's just not conservative. It's also not conservative to have an individual mandate. If they're not embarrassed about the Obamacare light bill they have, they should show it to us. But they also need to realize they are not going to be able to do this against the wishes of conservatives. We have enough votes in the Senate and we have enough votes in the House to say, look, hold up a minute. If you want these big government programs, put them in a separate bill. We are going to have a repeal bill, but it should be the repeal bill we already voted on. We all agreed to a clean repeal bill about a year ago. Let's vote on the clean repeal, and that if there are ideas on replacement, I have some.
Right.
Big government Republicans have some. Let's vote on those separately.
So they're working on the House is working on its bill. You have your own bill. Where's the support for your bill then?
Well, the House Freedom Caucus has endorsed it. That's 40 conservative members. There are, a significant number of senators who are saying they're not comfortable with the Obamacare light bill. So I think there's still going to be some negotiation, but this isn't going to be the establishment gets what they want. The leadership on Obamacare.
Have you talked to leadership, Senator? Have you talked to? Have you specifically reached out to Paul Ryan and said, "Hey, can I see what's in the bill?"
I've been part of the movement since 2010. That was the grassroots Tea Party movement that called for repeal of Obamacare. I have my finger on the pulse of that movement. They don't want Obamacare light, and they're not going to settle for it. And neither are conservatives that are the representatives here. We won in 2010 on a message of complete repeal. We won in 2014 on complete repeal. President Trump has said he's for complete repeal and replacement, but they don't have to be in the same bill. What I'm saying is the way forward, if you want to have consensus, is every Republican has said they're for repeal. Let's vote on repeal separately from replacement. There is disagreement on replacement, but we can get to where we need to be if you'll vote on the bills individually.
Have you reached out to Paul Ryan, though, to get a look at the bill that's being drafted?
I think leadership is aware that I'm interested in finding the bill, and I'm not going to go into personal conversations, but I will let you know that I think everybody knows I want to see the bill, and that I think they've had a PR disaster by putting it under lock and key and trying to keep it out of the view of legislators and the public. The only leaked copy is coming from the media right now. That's a huge mistake, and I think they understand that now, and I will be surprised if we don't get a bill within the next couple of days, but I think the sooner the better.
Right, but of course, it's going to go through the two relevant committees, and there's going to be a whole markup in the whole process, just as you know, and you also love regular order. So that is part of the process we'll watch very closely. Before I let you go, because I know you got time constraints, just finally, Jeff Sessions, he now says that he's going to recuse himself from any and all investigations involving the Trump campaign. As this is all panned out, are you satisfied how this turned out, Senator?
You know, I think there's a lot of confusion on both sides of the aisle with senators not remembering who they met with. You know, we had a Democrat senator who this week was adamant that she'd been on the armed services for 10 years and never met the Russian ambassador, and then it turns out she had. So I think people can forget about all the times we meet with ambassadors. And I fully, when you look at the clip, do believe that Jeff Sessions thought he was referring to the campaign and some sort of nefarious Russian presence. He didn't really think that he was being asked, have you ever met with the Russian ambassador? There's no way in the world he would intentionally try to obscure something that is easily provably false. So I think it was a misunderstanding of the question and answering it with regard to what he thought the question was. But, you know, I think it's going to sort itself out. And I think some of this is still sort of caught up in the electoral politics of people who are really unhappy they lost the election are going to grasp at anything they can do to try to slow down the process of really repealing Obamacare, reducing taxes, and getting rid of regulations.
Now he is recusing himself from the investigation into any of those contacts. Senator Rand Paul, great to have you, Senator. Thank you.
Thank you.
Coming up for us, new details on U.S. airstrikes going after a high-value target in Yemen, just weeks after the raid that killed Navy SEAL Ryan Owens. Now a search is underway for hundreds of al-Qaeda contacts uncovered during that operation. Plus,